Welcome, everybody, to the WMMA Math Podcast brought to you by WombatSports.com. I am Mark with a Q. I am your host. We have a lot to get to. I apologize for not doing it earlier this week. Things got kind of hectic in terms of some projects that I've been working on. So I decided to push it to late Saturday night. So there's a lot of stuff to go to. We got some of the weekend results already in from this weekend. And we had to talk about a little bit about happened last weekend and this past week. A lot of fight announcements have happened, a lot of news, so please bear with me. But thank you all for joining us. We'll usually do this podcast recording usually on Wednesdays. That's usually when I'll have all the results kind of done and finished and all that as well. And we'll be doing, once in a while, maybe a second podcast just for any interviews or anything that comes up in the coming weeks. So just kind of give you a heads up. But like I said, we have a lot of news to get to, so let's go at it. We'll start with last weekend. Invicta held its card in Kansas City. Really exciting night of fights. Really had some really up-and-coming talent. Basically, the flyweights were the focus on there as well. The main event, obviously ended it a little awkwardly. It was not. I don't think it was Pearl's fault at all. It just happens. There was an accident. But Vanessa Porter was looking very, very good. She looked like, she looked like she really, she really was that veteran, that veteran fighter that we all know and love. And I think it was a really great learning experiences for Pearl. So, it was a very interesting fight. Like I said, Porto just looked like more the vet doing it. And, I don't blame Pearl. I mean, Pearl's going to learn a lot from this as well. So, Vanessa Porter currently is your Invicta flyweight champion. She said she'd be more than happy to give Pearl a rematch. But obviously, we have to talk about who's going to be facing probably Vanessa Porter next. The semifinals are set right now. Karina Rodriguez and Deanna Bennett will be rematching again in the finals of the Flyweight Contenders Tournament. Karina Rodriguez and Milena Dudieva had a split decision. Very, very close one. I think I may have had it for Dudieva, but really great fight. One fight of the night. It just, it was great to be able to see that fight as well. And Deanna just looked like really, really good. Again, it was kind of one of those situations where Deanna was the veteran versus Miranda Maverick, who, is still learning, and she's getting kind of her way through it as well. So, Deanna is getting back on her feet. She seems to be really well focused again. It seems like it's great for her to be in a solid camp right now and, kind of be happy and living life. So, Karina Rodriguez and Deanna Bennett probably will be facing each other, if not on this next card, but the card following, depending on how everything kind of falls out in terms of, with their medicals and all that as well. So we won't know. I'll be hopefully talking to Shannon Knapp sometime this week. I'm going to try to get a call into her and see what's going on for the next card. There was some hinting that she might be doing another tournament in a different division, like a contenders tournament in another division. Some people were begging for a bantamweight tournament or a featherweight tournament or anything like that. But there were quite a few people that would be interested in doing a tournament. So we'll see if this ends up continuing. But by the sounds of it, it was a really huge success. Tracy Cortez handed Erin Blanchfield her first loss. Again, it was a situation where it was a very close fight. I think I actually had Blanchfield winning it. It was a split decision. So, again, Erin's going to learn a lot from this loss. It was a really close fight. Just absolutely, it's one of those things where it just can happen as well. Victoria Leonardo gets her second win in Invicta. Defeated Jamie Malinowski by rear naked choke. Again, nice little flyweight fight there as well. Courtney King defeated Salazar by submission in one of two of featherweight championship matches. Courtney again looked pretty good in the match as well. Caitlin Salmons has actually looked pretty well. She won by TKO in round 2 against Christina Ricker. And that was at 135, and really the 135 division nearly needs to be developed anyway as well. No announcement on when the next Invicta card is going to be. Again, I'm going to talk to Shannon this week about it. We will hopefully have a date and some announcements coming up on that pretty soon. So I'll kind of update you guys on that. Let's see here. Let's go to Bellator from last weekend. Bellator had two cards, actually, one Friday and one Saturday, and both of them had some very important fights. Amanda Bell came back after a year absence and looked like a world beater. Defeated Amber Leibrock by TKO, 352 round one. This was not going to be a fight that was going to take. It was going to be going past the first round. Amber and Amanda are both really heavy hitters. So it was great to see. I wasn't expecting Amanda to be able to do the knockout. I thought she was going to be using her wrestling a lot more, but it was absolutely amazing. Amanda gets that next step closer to getting a title shot. We'll be talking a little bit about that in a little bit when we talk about the Bellator from this past weekend, who the next contender for Julia Budd is. Just in a little bit once we get to this weekend's results. And like I said, an important fight in the atomweight division. Lindsay Van Zandt defeated Tabitha Ann Watkins by TKO in round two. Lindsay, really, Bellator does not have an atomweight division, and they have sometimes book these fights just because they want to do an undercard. Usually it's through a local promotion or something like that. But Lindsay, I believe, still undefeated. If not, she has one loss. I don't remember. I don't have the record up at the moment. But I don't think she's signed to Bellator. Bellator doesn't have an atomweight division. So I'd be interested to see if Invicta ends up picking her up. They need the atomweights right now, and Lindsay is maybe one or two fights away from getting a title shot if she ends up signing with Invicta. Probably even one more win, she'd be able to face the champion. So Lindsay Van Zandt is one person you should look out for. By the way, no relation to Paige. She her last name is spelled Vanzandt. So it's Lindsay Van Zandt. That's pretty good as well. The other Bellator match this past weekend was Valeria Lorenda making her presence felt. Defeated Kobe Fletcher by TKO round one. Valerie was on our show. Said she predicted that she was going to get a first round KO, and she ended up saying that, and she ended up doing exactly what she said. First round TKO. So as well. But there's a little side story to this because Valerie had posted this that the commission for some odd reason were thinking that having eyelash extensions were going to be either a hindrance or something to Valerie. So they were almost tempted to just kind of side her on that or make her take them out and all that as well. But I guess cooler heads prevailed, as it were, and Valerie was able to fight. So it was kind of crazy to think that just eyelash extensions could have stopped this fight from even happening. I've heard a hell of a lot worse things that the commissions have done to stop fights, but it's kind of crazy to be able to think of that as well. Last weekend, of course, was the UFC Phoenix. 3 great fights. There was going to be 4. Jessica Penne missed weight, but then she had a nasty foot injury the day of, so they had to scrap the fight. That fight's been rescheduled, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, versus Jody Esquivel. We'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit while when I get to the fight announcements. But 3 great fights again. Kavila versus Casey. Again, a close fight. Kavila wins by unanimous decision. I actually think I had Casey up, but it was a really close fight not to be able to do that as well. Andrea Lee looked just so awesome coming back. Defeated Ashley Evans-Smith by unanimous decision. Her stock is really rising up there. I mean, she has everything that a UFC star can have. So it'll be interesting to see who they get to her next. Emily Mittmeyer has cemented herself in the UFC record books. Fastest submission by a strawweight in the UFC. Rear naked choke over Alexandra Albu at 1 minute 1 second. So I would say Alexandra Albu's probably gone by now. I think she's on a 3 fight skid. So I won't be surprised if Albu kind of gets let go from the UFC and either goes back to Europe, does a lot of her stuff in Europe, which is quite a possibility as well, or if she winds up signing to somewhere like Invicta or something like that. But Albu hadn't had a really good run in the UFC, and it was really unusual for her to have come in the UFC having very little experience. So we'll see what Albu has to do, but I have a feeling she's gone from there. I don't know what's going on happening to Whitmire yet. I have to take a look at the straw weight rankings to kind of give you kind of an estimate of that what's going on as well. Okay, let's see, where are we? That'll catch us up pretty much to this weekend. Give me a second here. My page went down a little bit, so I had to readjust. There we go. This goes to this weekend when one championship happened yesterday, and Ayaka Miura. I apologize if I'm bursting Ayaka's name. Miura, I believe it is. Defeated Laura Balin by a scarf arm lock round 1. This was her second submission by this second submission in a row, and this was in round 1 too. And this is Laura Balin who took the champ to the absolute limit. 3 rounds. So Ayaka's going to be a pretty good contender coming up for one of the championships up there at 1. So it'll be interesting to see where they kind of put her in that race. Maybe they might give her a title shot next. We'll see what goes on there as well. Mei Yamaguchi was supposed to face Meng Bo on the card, but Meng Bo had a foot injury, so she was pulled. So I don't know if they're going to be rescheduling that fight like they are the Penne Escobar fight, but we'll have to see. And then also yesterday, Zola Frosto, triumphant performance back to MMA. She's been doing kickboxing and Muay Thai over the past couple years, and she may have had maybe 1 or 2 MMA fights kind of mixed in, but this was her big comeback fight, and Zoila just looked like the old Zoila, the old world beater Zoila Frosto. Defeated Jamie Navarra by TKO round 1. She looked great at Combates. It'll be interesting to see if she stacks up, 3 or 4 or 5 wins. Maybe 3 or 4 wins. That maybe she might go to the UFC. We'll see, But she's starting to make her way back, and it was a nice kind of setup for her to start to make her way back up in as well. Sheila Padilla was supposed to face Charissa Sigala, but Padilla had missed weight. I haven't gotten any information of how much weight Padilla had actually missed by. It has to be more than 5 pounds. This is the second time in 2 fights that she has had to cancel. The other one was due to an injury. So I'm interested to see where Sheila's going to be at in terms of combates coming up. So just make sure we'll have to take a look and see what kind of goes on with Sheila if she does get booked again or something like that. So we'll have to see. Another guest of ours that we had on this past couple weeks, Chelsea Ray defeated Allison Goodwin by unanimous decision. I was able to watch the fight online on BN Sports. It had a really good stream on there as well. I think they still have it. If you guys are cable subscribers or have BN Sports on your television, you should be able to download the app and to be able to watch the fights on there as well. So if you download the BN Sports app and happen to have, like Dish or something like that, and you just put your information into the system, you'll be able to watch BN Sports for free. So if you ever want to watch Tough Enough, that's how you do it. But I was able to watch it via their app and via their app. So it was very interesting to be able to watch that fight. Chelsea looked really, really good. She was really aggressive in the first two rounds. Was able to really control